Good evening, my name is Dave Kooker, also known as the Kiwi Kooker, and as promised I'm going to make winter barbecued ribs, pork ribs, and I figured I could eat pork ribs by itself, but I probably shouldn't, make it more of a balanced meal, so I'm actually going to make a potato bake here. With 2 meals, it's going to be a little bit labor intensive in the beginning, but after that it should settle out where it's more waiting game, sitting behind the oven and just watch it bake and golden. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to saute onions for 15 minutes with a dash of garlic, because I like sauteed onions. It's a nice underlying flavor for the baked potatoes. And also, this is probably a good time to actually preset the oven for 180 degrees Celsius. Even though 180 degrees isn't really good temperature for cooking the potato bake, for the amount of time it's going to bake, it's a decent temperature, but you don't want to overcook the pork ribs. So for the pork ribs, 180 degrees, and once I take these out to rest, when they're done, then I'm going to crank up the oven later to finish off the potato bake with a nice crispy topping. But that's a good compromise for right now. So have a stiff drink and let's get cooking. Okay, 15 minutes has gone by to saute the onions, nice and brown, caramelized. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix them in with the potato bake solution or sauce, whatever you want to call it. So I have 1 onion here that's been sauteed. Wow, okay. Along with this I have 3 tablespoons of salted butter, 3 heaping spoons of flour, because I like flour because flour gives a sauce like a creaminess to it when it cooks. You got 2 cups of water, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of cracked black pepper. With this, I'm going to put it in a pan, and to prepare the pan, you always use duck fat. Well, I always use duck fat. Not a lot, but kind of sparingly, but nothing, and I mean nothing sticks to duck fat. It actually adds a nice little aftertaste or background flavor to any dish. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little the potato bake sauce at the bottom, put potatoes in the middle. I'm going to put another layer of sauce, potatoes, then I'll top off the rest of it with the sauce. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Edam cheese. Actually, I guess I forgot to tell you too, I put a cup and a half of Edam cheese in the sauce here. I really like Edam cheese because it's nice and creamy, has a nice background taste, and also I like it because it doesn't have a lot of oil to it. Some cheeses like cheddar cheese, it tastes great, but when they cook and render, you get these pools of grease everywhere, and I don't think that's very nice. So that's why I like Edam cheese. It's very creamy, it goes everywhere. You get in a nice, bakes a nice crust. Then with the topping, I have another cup and a half of Edam cheese, and I mix in some Parmesan cheese. This is where I want the flavor to be really, for the most part, is on the top of the cheese crust on top. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make the potato bake, and I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Okay, I've made the potato bake. I've kind of laid out the infrastructure of it. So you have sauce, potatoes, and then more sauce on top, and then another, a cup and a half of cheddar cheese. Excuse me, not cheddar cheese, but Parmesan, and eat them. So now I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to put this in the oven for, it's probably going to sit there for at least an hour to thoroughly bake. And while this is cooking, I'm going to get to the ribs. So give me another 2 minutes after I put this in the oven, and I'll show you how I prepare the pork ribs. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to prepare the ribs. Rib meat is quite kind of grizzly. It can have a lot of cartilage in it. So to to get it softened up to ready to eat, and actually pretty much cook it, what I do is I'll put it in the pressure cooker. But to get to that point, what I do is I'll make sure the pieces are big enough for the pot. In the bottom of the pot, I'll put a tad of olive oil and then a splash of chicken broth. And the reason I use the broth is as the pressure cooker heats up, it gets really, really hot. And if there's no moisture or anything to like lube or keep the meat wet, it's just going to singe and burn real fast and dry out that bottom piece of meat. So that's why I always put some chicken broth in there. And what I do is I build layers in the pot to where there's a layer of, actually Greg's hickory barbecue sauce is a really nice base. I'm a little bit lazy. If someone already makes something that's pretty decent, it's close to something I would make from scratch, I just use it. Put the meat in the pot, and a layer of barbecue sauce here at the top of this layer. Also, what I'm going to do is I put just a little bit of Chinese chili powder in between each layer, and that's actually going to give this meat a nice little kick to it. You may not want to put that in yours, but for me, I like a nice bite in my barbecue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in the pressure cooker. Everything's ready to go. To break down the cartilage and pretty much cook the pork meat, I'm going to set it for high pressure time. I'm going to use 25 minutes for this amount of meat. This is essentially 2 racks or small pork ribs. Here we go. And make sure the pressure gauge, I forgot about that, sorry about that. That's locked down. And we're going to let it go. In 10 minutes to get up to the temperature and pressure, and then 25 minutes, 35 minutes, I'll get right back with you, and then we'll check on the potato bake, and we'll check on the progress of the ribs. Okay, after 10 minutes of heating up and 25 minutes of pressure cooking, the ribs are done. You could actually eat them now if you wanted to, but I don't want my ribs really to be just kind of juicy and just without a lot of crisp. I like some char on my ribs. So what I've done is, for most of the ribs, what I've done is I've coated them on both sides, and also I've actually poured about a cup of this juice in the pan itself, and I've coated with the duck fat so nothing sticks to it. And here's the last rib, and I'll show you what I've done, where I'm going to actually put everything curved side up first. Let me coat this on the other side. And I guess I should talk about the sauce too. For a winter sauce actually, Greg's hickory barbecue sauce is quite nice as a base. And I like my barbecue a little bit more spicier, so typically I do 3 parts of barbecue sauce and 1 part peri-peri. Peri, it gives a nice hot bite. It also has a citrus flavor to it also, and I really like that. So let me make sure everything's coated really nice. Alright, that's good. And what I'm going to do now is the potato bake is looking pretty good actually. It's a little bit soupy. It's not as cooked as I want it to be. We'll take care of that later, because I talked about the 2 different temperatures. But I'm going to cook these ribs, curved side up for 10 minutes, and then pull them out for after 10 minutes. Look at them again, coat them a little bit more, assess them, then I'll decide if I want to cook them another 10 minutes. Curved side down, which I'll probably most likely will do. And probably by then the potato bake actually might be done by then. So we'll find out. Oh, wow. Yeah, potato bake's looking good. So actually 180 degrees for these 2 recipes is working out very well. It's actually quite close in cooking time. So I'm pretty happy about that. So I'll see you again in another 10 minutes. Oh, damn, I gotta make another gin. Alright. Anyway, 10 minutes is done. I'm going to curve side up. So what we're going to do now is coat it a little bit more. Use that. I don't want to hold the pan as it's hot. Give it a good coating of sauce again. Never have enough sauce on barbecue. Oh yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm looking at the potato bake down there. It's one of those rare times when the potato bake actually is going to cook at the same time as these ribs. In another 10 minutes, I bet you these ribs will be done, the potato bake's going to be done, and we can eat at the same time. That's why I don't like to give a lot of hard and fast instructions on time. I'm pretty strict about my recipe when it comes to the ingredients and the size, but a lot of times there's a lot of variables about meat. It's moist, it's dry. Potatoes, maybe they're a little bit older or something, but they seem to cook a lot faster this time, even though I'm using the same temperature. So because of that, that's why I like to tell you why I do what I do, to give you context. If something's not working right, you can see it real fast and go, ooh, wow, look at those potato bake there. It's getting pretty crusty right now. It's got a nice crust on that cheese. It's going to be really good in 10 minutes. So give me another 10 minutes on these ribs on the curved side up, because hopefully by then there'll be some char here on the edges, and we'll be ready to eat. Okay, it's been another 10 minutes, and let's just see how the ribs are going. Yeah, they're not bad. Got a nice little crisp edge to them. So what we're going to do is let's just carve a few of these ribs up just to see what it's like. Okay. See how it's crisp on one side, and it's pretty crisp on this side. I probably should have cooked them maybe 2 minutes longer, but actually at this point in time I'm getting a little hungry myself actually. So let's carve these up and just see what they're like. like I said, wow, it's pretty moist. Looks like it's just falling off the bone, to be honest with you. Oh, put some sauce in that, some dipping sauce. Oh. These should rest probably for 5 minutes, but I'm just going to eat one now just to see how good it is. Oh. It doesn't get any better than that. It's just soft, it's moist, falls off the bone. A little bit of the bone, but I'll get rid of that. Alright, let's cut into the potato bake. Yeah, you get a nice little crust here. I think my potato bake actually cooked a little bit sooner than I thought, because I'm using a pan that's a little bit lower in profile, and I believe that made a big difference. Ooh, those ribs are quite spicy, actually. I like that. Oh, look at that. You can smell the onions, you can smell the garlic. You know, there's not a lot of oil in it, because a lot of times when you cook with cheese, you gotta be real careful with cheese, because the oil it gives off. Give this a quick test. And maybe I'll try that. This piece right here. Oh, perfect. You know, potatoes are soft, not crunchy. There's nothing better than a cheese crust on anything, really. So, oh, that's just perfect. I think after we rest the ribs for about 5-10 minutes, you know, let the white napalm on this potato bake cool down for about 5-10 minutes. Oh, I think it's going to be just an awesome dinner. So, in the wintertime, there's nothing better than to warm up a cold, drafty house like this with the oven. 180 Celsius. You got it going for the potatoes, you got the ribs going. And this actually makes life worth living. It's just awesome. But next week, I don't know what I'm going to cook yet. I guess I'll have to decide. But, oh, if you love ribs, this is the recipe to do for the winter ribs, and I encourage you. And if you have any problems with my recipe, I'd love to hear your comments below, and let me know if you've tried it. And actually, I just appreciate you even watching my channel. And see you later. Bye.